Good morning, Hassan. This is your principal, Dr. Miller. Today is Monday, January 30th, 2023. Please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, friends, I want to make sure that you are not throwing snow and ice out on the playground. We've had some students having to visit the nurse's office because even the snow gets really hard and crunchy and can hurt. And then, of course, we're never throwing ice. And then also to remind you to listen to the recess staff, and we're not playing King of the Hill and a few of those things because we've had some student injuries and we want everyone safe and happy at Hassan. I have the birthdays. All right, so we are starting with the January birthdays. We have January 30th and 31st. We have Ruby in Mrs. Wallen's class, Penelope in Mrs. Sylvester's class, June in Miss Doro's class, and Grace in Miss Cedergren's class. Happy birthday! And then for July, we have Chase in Mrs. Craig's class, Heinrich in Mrs. Wallen's class, Brecken in Mr. Willenbring's, David in Miss Doro's class, and Nevaeh in Mr. Spitzek's class. And then moving on to February 1st through the 5th, we have Max in Mrs. Dazowski's class, Eli in Miss Lochner, Ariella in Mrs. Stella's, Zemming in Mrs. Back's class, Elsie in Mrs. Edie's class, and Berka in Mrs. Dazowski's class. And then August half birthdays, we have Leonardo in Ms. Ackerson's class, Catalina in Mrs. Meeker's class, Nolan in Mrs. Greenwald's class, Hanad in Mrs. Dazowski's class, and Gavin in Mr. Spitzek's class. Happy birthday, happy half birthday. When your teacher tells you that it's a good time, come on down to the office to get a birthday pencil and a birthday book. And then rolling out early, we do not have that this week because we are catching up and we have just a short week this week, Monday through Wednesday. All right, make it a great day and remember, you belong.